we have come to an extremely important point. Our earth is going through, which means we are going through as a human race, a moment in time that has never come before. Every single one of us as souls who chose to be born in this timeline, we chose this timeline because we were aware that this moment would be experienced by us. And we were aware that when we experience this moment, we would all be called individually and collectively, we would all be called to make choices, very, very important choices. This is the moment of the great transformational shift. Never before and never after in this lifetime of any of us, however young we might be at this current point, never before and never after will we face this immense transformation, will we face this immense shift. I was told that in the evolution of every race, and of course I was reminded that the human race is but one in the entire cosmos. In the evolution of every race comes one transformational shift of this magnitude. For each race, the shift is for a different purpose. For us on earth, as a human race, the shift is the leap, not a gradual movement, but a leap from personality to soul. Priya ended with saying that there will be a time when we shall all be spiritual instead of taking a class in spirituality. And that is exactly what it is. As we move in future years, but beginning December 21st, 2020, as we move onwards, every moment unknown to us, every year, every decade, we shall be leaving behind our dependency on the physical body, on physicality, and we shall begin to shift into experiencing, living in a physical existence, but with ever increasing spiritual energies. But before that moment can come for each one of us, before that moment can come for the earth itself, and I remind you that moment is around the corner. It's December 21st, 2020. Before that moment can come, the earth has had to do a lot of clearance. She, Gaia, which is her higher consciousness, has had to push out accumulated negativity of years, of decades, of centuries. And we have experienced in the last 10 to 15 years, we have experienced more terrorism, we have experienced more human rights atrocities, we have experienced more dishonor and disrespect of the feminine, both the form and the energy. We have experienced child abuse and sexual violence. We have experienced warfare. We have today more war refugees than at any other time on earth. Unknown to us, as we lived, as we spoke, as we thought, and as we believed, we continued to shovel deeply into the breast of Mother Earth all our negativity. And she took it, and she took it like a good mother would. But now she is so burdened that she cannot leap because she's heavy. And so she had to push it out of her. She had to push out all this accumulated negativity. And COVID was one of the ways. She had to ensure that all of us were, that our movements would be limited, that our interaction would be limited, that our work, which we are so proud of, but which we do without any awareness of whether we are harming Earth or not, she wanted to ensure that all of that would be limited so that she would have the opportunity to release, to regather, and to recoup. She needed nature to awaken. She needed nature to be unshackled by our hate, by our rage. And she chose what came most easily as an energy to her. I heard a small, simple little poem written by actually the son of one of my ex-students when I was a high school teacher. And this young man writes, and his first line of the poetry is, "What if 2020 is the vaccine itself? What if the vaccine is 2020? Not the vaccine for us, the vaccine for Earth. The vaccine that would help us to brace ourselves, strengthen ourselves for this huge, great emotional, transformational shift." And what has COVID done? What has this virus done? It's created chaos. And as JadeFire has very, very often reminded me and others, chaos is most needed. There are times in our lives when chaos is the only answer. When we get stuck, when the bottom of this cooking pot is not allowing the food to be cooked, but is actually just sticking all the food to the bottom and burning it to a cinder, then a very large spoon needs to be put into that pot and things have to be stirred up furiously so that all that was stuck and all that is now blackened and charred and has no place anymore in this delicious food that you're cooking, all that has to be removed and come up to the top so that it can be chucked out. And that is done through chaos. The energies of chaos are not the energies of destruction, and they are the energies of disturbance. Yes, they are the energies of disruption. They are the energies of agitation. But more than anything else, they are the energies of detoxification. And you and I and the earth have gone through a huge detoxification for this entire year. But out of this detoxification have come some wow results. You and I have awakened in a way that we never thought would be possible in so short a time. The earth has, and people on earth have asked questions and sought solutions for a better existence, for a better life, for a better work-life balance. Someone was telling me the other day, a few corporations have already taken a decision not to return to concrete offices anymore. They have taken the decision to allow everyone to work in their space, in their time, because they have found productivity increasing. Schools, some schools, I was talking to a few school managers and administrators, and some schools have taken a decision that from now on they are going to permit a combination of online schooling for those who cannot attend their schools but would like to attend their schools but cannot attend it due to maybe time constraint, maybe due to distance constraint. And so they are looking at how to blend the two as something that becomes normal and standard. And so we are seeing these shifts taking place. Not everyone has changed, but no one has remained the same. The healing process for everyone has started. One of the greatest processes of detoxification have taken place in our thoughts. JadeFire calls this thought pollution. And he says, you pay attention, your world pays attention to the pollution of wind and earth and water and noise, but no one is aware that greater than all of these put together is thought pollution. How do we think? What is our go-to thought process? Do we naturally think out of fear? Do we naturally think out of greed? Do we naturally think out of self-importance? Do we naturally think out of scarcity? What do we think out of? What is our go-to thought? How many times have we faced the consequences of these negative thoughts, but we haven't learned from these consequences? And so one of the greatest detoxification processes in this transformational shift is thought. There have been so many that I have personally met, so many that I have reached out to over technology and over internet. And every one of them is desiring a change in how they think. Every one of them has understood that their old thought patterns have created much of the confusion in their lives. They have been forced to live in close proximity with those whom they have judged. And they have realized that there have been many aspects of these same persons that they have not seen before. In the years to come, one of the greatest shifts shall be in thought. Our minds, our mental energy fields shall continue this expansion that they have already started upon. This expansion of the mental field shall begin to shift our thoughts. Our thoughts move from I, me, my to we and us. Our thoughts move from lack and scarcity and therefore greed and need to abundance and sharing and an awareness that there is more than enough of everything that we could possibly need. Our thoughts move from fear of our survival being at stake to an understanding and to a faith that cannot be rocked, a faith that we as beings are already immortal, that our world is already infinite. So that is one of the big shifts that we've already started upon and that we shall continue to go through. In the initial phases of this shift, as our thoughts change, what is being told to me is whatever is positive shall become even more positive and shall face the rewards and shall reap those benefits. And whatever is negative shall become strongly negative and shall have to endure the consequences of that negative. And I asked why. Because I know that there is nothing in this universe like punishment. So I asked why. And the answer was quite simple. If we do not enhance the negative, how will we know that the negative is what is causing ill health to us in our physical, in our mental, in our emotional, and in our spiritual? How will we know that? As a collective consciousness, we shall strengthen the negative so that it stares us straight in our faces where we cannot escape it. And it will be so strong and so potent that we will be forced to look at it and say, I choose to change. And how can we not enhance the positive? Because when the positive becomes radiant and vibrant and rich, you and I shall be encouraged to be even more positive, to reap even more of these rewards. So in the initial years of this shift, the positive shall become more positive and the negative shall become way, way more negative. You and I are standing at that crossroad of choice. What do we wish to experience? What do we choose as our experience? Not only the experience that we shall have now, but what is the experience that we choose in the years to come as the transformational shift settles in and becomes more strong? What do we choose? And depending upon what we choose, we shall find people entering our lives or leaving our lives. If we choose the positive, and I pray and I trust that at least in this forum we shall all choose the positive. Those with negative misalignments with our positive energies shall very quickly, sometimes even suddenly, leave our lives. They shall go. And when they go, we shall maybe be uncomfortable because a pattern of human interaction is broken, but we shall not grieve, because we shall feel a sense of lightness, a sense of release, a sense of a burden being lifted. And with this space that is made empty, we shall be able to magnetize into our lives people who align with us, who are on our frequency vibration bandwidth, who will enhance us and whom we can enhance. And so we shall be seeing a movement in and out of our lives. And of course, if we choose the negative, we shall be able to align only with those who are not only as negative as we are, but maybe even more. And you see, it is through these people who enter our lives that our positive will become more positive and the negative will become more negative. So in the initial years, maybe in 2021. Let us pay attention to those who come into our lives and who go out of our lives. They will help us to see whether we are in alignment with this great transformational shift. The greater is the shift within us, the greater is the shift that we facilitate on earth in our collective consciousness. One of the most joyful results for us all in this transformational shift is accelerated manifestation. As our thoughts are detoxified, and as our thoughts are empowered and enriched and energized and fueled by the divine mind, our thoughts shall have the ability to create into reality what we think. I personally cannot wait for that. And I'm being told that all the exercises like the crystal pyramid and the mandalas that we have been taught and that we are teaching others in order to help us to manifest shall no longer be valid, because they shall no longer be needed. We think, we focus our energies upon the thought, and we bring into our life the manifested reality. But a word of caution. If, even unknown to us, we have chosen the negative, this process of accelerated manifestation shall work for all. It is not going to be denied to a single individual on earth. All shall enjoy or not accelerated manifestation. Why do I say or not? If my thoughts are negative and they come from fear, and they come from rage, and they come from violence, and they come from greed, I shall create accelerated manifestation into my reality of experiences and situations that I may not wish to go through. So, accelerated manifestation. Another huge shift is the slow but certain completion in alignment with your authentic self. And I'm told this will take many years, maybe even a couple of decades. But we are moving in that direction. And the most wonderful part for me was when I was told that everyone shall move towards their authentic selves, even those who have chosen the negative, because they shall be urged to gently, over time, choose the positive. So, what is this authentic self? We already know our higher self is a part of our own personality that has complete awareness of everything that our soul has. But our higher self is not our authentic self. Priya called it very picturesquely a piece of the divine vase. And that's the authentic self, the soul. There will come a time when there will be no higher self energy, because the physical will lose its importance. It will only function as a pure vehicle and nothing else. And I was given a picture of drinking my morning coffee. And I was told the cup is very important to you because it holds your coffee. But you do not allow the cup to decide on whether it will be latte or black, or whether there's no sugar, one sugar, or two sugars. The cup does not decide that. The cup is only the container. And as our physicality becomes only the container, the need for the higher self, the need for the bridge between the personality and the soul disappears. And there is physical and there is soul. Back to our authentic self. Priya gave us the picture of the vase crashing. You know how they run a movie backwards? In your mind, try and imagine that. All these little pieces now coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up together, and there is the vase again. The movie is being run backwards now. And these tiny pieces are not dispersing. They're coming together. And as they come together, I'm able to see that my piece is very important, but my God, so is yours. My God, so is yours. Your God. Because without you, that vase is incomplete. And we shall see that. We shall recognize that. And in that recognition, we shall embrace all those pieces that at present we have shunned. And then I'm told, in this great transformational shift, happiness shall not be a choice. And first I was, wait a minute, all of this was going very well till this moment. Happiness will not be a choice because there shall be no duality. At present, we need the duality because we exist as physical and as higher self. We need that duality. I need to be sad because when I am sad, I appreciate happiness. When I am hungry, I appreciate the food, however simple it is. When I don't have something, I appreciate its presence when it does come. At present, we need the duality But with this alignment with our authentic self, there is no need for duality. How can I choose happiness? Happiness is the only reality. And yet, for a long time still, for maybe a few hundreds of years, the duality shall exist on the periphery. But depending upon our journey, how far away or how close we are to our authentic self, we shall be unaffected by that duality that lies on the periphery. In fact, we might even be unaware of it. The closer we get, the less we shall be affected by the duality that would still exist. Because everyone shall be moving at their own pace. No pressure, no judgment, no condemnation. And the duality needs to exist till the very last conscious person has returned to authentic self. But those who are in full alignment with their authentic self, who are moving very close in communion with their authentic self, will remain unaffected by the duality, will remain unaware of the duality. At present, we are living as physical, spiritual beings. The shift is the integration of the physical and spiritual so that we are spiritual, physical beings. Till as long as we remain on earth, till as long as the physical remains on earth, the divine masculine and the divine feminine shall remain as apparently two separate energies, but they shall only appear to be so. The divine masculine is required to maintain the physical body. The divine feminine fuels the spiritual, and both will be required. But as we move closer and closer and closer to our authentic selves, the physical and the spiritual will find a way wherein the physical body shall actually change. Our bodies as we know them now shall change in a distant future. They shall change in order to accommodate a third track of energy, and that is the union. So there shall be a masculine, a feminine, and there shall be the union that cannot be described as either masculine or feminine. I was telling Priya before you all joined us, I definitely want to return to Earth at that time again. I think we've all earned it. If we've gone through this time on Earth, we've earned that time in the future. So here's looking forward not only to meeting you again in 21, but to meeting you in maybe 2551. We might look different. We certainly shall feel different, because you and I shall be far more energy. And we might look back at ourselves as our ancestors. And we might wonder, what were those people thinking? Why were they giving so much importance to the cup when they were not even drinking the cup? They were drinking the coffee inside the cup. It was the milk, it was the coffee that was fueling them. Why were they giving that much importance to the cup? And then not only giving importance, but then judging and saying, my cup is better than your cup. What were they thinking? That's a very valid question, because I'm going to round off where I started. What are we thinking? For you and I today, as we move into this great transformational shift, that is the most crucial issue lying before us. What am I thinking? What are my thoughts? Thank you so much for this absolutely delightful 6-week journey. Have a wonderful Christmas and the most beautiful 2021. Remember, 2021 is your year in more ways than one. The power has been given back to us. You create whatever you wish to create. Accelerated manifestation. There's great responsibility. As someone said, with great power comes great responsibility. And there is no greater power than accelerated manifestation. Wishing you joy and health and love and everything that's just delightful.